Well, last Saturday, we was at Hungaroring for round 2 of Nadal Season 16, presented by Bibby, and yeah, a few drivers getting a few DTs around that track as we sort of suspected, and one driver, Alan Asprey, ended up sideways at the last corner, having to drop a load of positions, so they didn't end up high in the pack after the race, but we are here tonight at the Nurburgring for round 3. It is Jordan Daly driving on the track at this moment in time in qualifying. 15-minute quality, 12 minutes and 50 seconds left. And tonight I am joined by Cormac Malloy on the cameras, lovely drone cams as always, and Mr. Jesse Lee on the comms with me as well. How are we today, Jesse?
Hello, Ted. Hello, everybody watching at home. Welcome back to the third round of this special season of Night Owl presented by Bibby. The 16th season, the season we've taken it all the way back to the original in 2020, and that must mean the rubber round of the championship, or the middle round, if you will, is at the Nurburgring, and the weather has been somewhat fatefully created here tonight as well. It's wet, it's daylight at bare minimum, and everybody here trying to deal with the track conditions, Ted.
Yeah, sure is. And like with the Hungaroring, it is a recreation of season 1's round 3 of Nurburgring, with the weather as it is. I try to get it similar to what we had. Obviously, this was before we had our website, and on the back end we can see what we put in for that championship. So it's sort of a guess to looking back at the live stream from 3 years ago and see what the weather was, and it's roughly the same. The temps are roughly as the, obviously ACC has changed a lot in that time, so the weather has as well. But I try to get it roughly the same, and by the looks of it, it's working as intended. But I think hear from Jordan Daly, who we're on board with right now, that it might be a little bit difficult with the wet tyres, as there might be a dry line, and trying to cool them off might be a little bit difficult, but might not be dry enough for the dry tyres. So just have to wait and see, as we have 10 minutes and 50 seconds left, as he goes top ahead of Redford by 5/10 with a 2-minute. Oh, he's just been beaten. 2-minute .750. Just been beaten by Julian Vanbrugh with 2-minute .730. So 200ths of a second between those two drivers there. Alan Asprey beats him out by almost a whole 10th. So it's getting quicker and quicker on the track, Jesse.
Sure is. No split qualifying here. If you watched our Wednesday broadcast, you'll be familiar by now that there's split qualifying. The pros go out, or excuse me, the silvers go out first, and then the pros go out in the second half of the session. None of that here on Saturday night in Night Owl. Everybody out on the track at the same time, and that gets to be somewhat of a problem, a little bit of a choke point in the Mercedes-Benz Arena section of the racetrack, because there's so many cars that are on that part of the track. It's a tight place, easy to get it wrong and easy to back somebody else up. Of course, RCI has its own rules about impeding a car on a fast lap, etc. and so forth. No live stewards here tonight. All the stewarding done post-race, of course, but all those things still reportable post-race, so you'd want to try and avoid that. But all the cars out there, 24 cars on the track at the same time. Nürburgring is a decent-sized racetrack, but 24 is enough in most instances to blanket the track. And in fact, the majority of them now occupying, all of them in fact, occupying only 2 sectors right now. You can see on the map on the right-hand side of the screen just how hectic that can be. Masatoshi Kaneko continuing the good work all the way from Japan with the current quickest lap in silver over Adna Pusina, who I believe is from Bosnia and Herzegovina. Believe? If I am incorrect about that, Adna, I do apologize. But those are the top 2 there. George Barr for BDG in 3rd place there. Asbury, Vanbrugh, and now Daly went down to 4th briefly, but now all the way back up to the top. It's a 2-minute dead, .167. That's pretty good in this weather.
Yeah, it sure is, and it just shows that the track is getting more grippy as these drivers keep doing their laps. See if Alan Asprey improves. He does not. He's a 10th off his fastest. But I do see John Eraser is in the chat saying hello. How are you, dude? it's a shame that you're not in this championship. You could fight daily and flounder for the top spot of Night Owl. That'd be quite nice to see, Jesse. Uh, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see a new driver's joined us today. Jordan Bubbins has joined us in the 65. He's done a 2 minute point 6247. That's pretty quick time for someone who's not really done much ACC. They're very, very new, just like how Ash was when they started this season on Night Owl. Bubbins has joined us midway through this season, and he's doing very well, especially since it's a damp track and doing qualifying. But you know, as Ash has done, that's a word, you know. You just improve over time, and Ash has improved immensely, and Bubbies isn't that far off Hutchinson, really. Hutchins, I'm gonna wait until Jesse calls me on that one again later on in the race, but yeah, doing very well, as we see Adnan Pesina doing a bit of a drift behind the Ferrari we are watching, but yeah, very good lap time, Jesse.
Yeah, it certainly is. For anybody in Jordan Bubbins' position, it's quite easy to come out here and be intimidated by these great racers. I mean, some of these drivers were involved in some quite large sim racing throughout the day, and in a weird way, Night Owl is their way to finish off their Saturday racing. And as some people that race this championship, they claim it's the, quote, only championship that matters. And whether they're serious about that or whether it's sort of a jab at, like, look, this is for the fun race, and it makes no difference. Still, people vote with their entry list. The entry list very strong midway through this championship. But back to Jordan Bubbins for a second. Just being on this grid, just having the tenacity to come out here, put in some laps, keep the car going the right way, and finishing is more important than anything. Watching the other cars, soaking it all in, taking note of where you could be better, what to do better next time, all of that is a huge progression. And he may be seconds off now, but that won't be that way forever. They will definitely pick up speed. They're going to pick up speed today versus next week. And it's interesting. It's always nice for us up here in the comms box to get a good look at a fresh driver and sort of chart their progress. Jordan Daly, we always go back to Daly, who is down to P2 right now. Started off in AM, worked his way up to silver, and now he's one of the top drivers that I can think of. So it could be anybody. It can happen to you. All it takes is the dedication. You can learn everything else in between. And Jordan Bubbins at the very beginning of his journey right here tonight.
Sure is, and like you say, it's a tough grid if you look at it. You know, you look at the top end is what you would do when you first start racing, and you shouldn't look at the top end. You should look at the bottom end and see, right, how can I improve on these guys? Because these are the guys that I want to be racing. And you know, he wants to be racing Ash. Obviously, they're good friends with each other. So you know, we should see that either at the end of the season. That'd be quite nice to see, or either next season, which will be next year. But you know, just driving the track, especially like it is at the minute, is not easy, especially when the track just went from damp back to wet. So the rain is obviously having an effect, and even with all these 24 cars on track blasting around at speeds they're doing, it's still not getting as dry as I would have thought of. So just have to see what it is for the race. But just looking at chat, Eraser's saying I've had enough fight with Jordan on Wednesday, lol. And Alice and Bibby saying doing Christmas shopping while Ash is racing. When he's distracted, he doesn't shout at me. So that's funny. And then Eraser said, but maybe I'll come back to a little Night Owl season sometimes, winky face. So that'd be nice to see, Jesse, some older faces coming back into Night Owl, and seeing how they perform. Because obviously we've seen Eraser before, and he's a pretty quick driver. So it's always nice to see the originals come back, if you like.
Yeah, John's pretty plug and play. It doesn't matter what series he's in. He's one of those drivers you circle on the entry list and go, all right, I'm going to have to beat that guy. And John's one of those fellas. And it doesn't matter what it is, GT4, GT3, one make. He just ends up being one of those guys. And I mean, he proves it with his racing. You know, he's in the top 5. More often than not, he's fighting for a podium spot. And he's referencing fighting with Daly. He has been doing that in the Wednesday champ as well. But not right now, as Vanbrugh, the quickest in the session, the only driver in the 59s. And I fear With 3.5 minutes left of qualifying, we may not see any meaningful improvement from the top half of the field because, again, most of those laps, if not all those laps, were set on a damp racetrack, not a fully wet racetrack. Of course, the wetter the track gets, the less grip you have, even on the treaded Pirelli tire, and that probably will not be conducive to a quick lap time. Not stopping the drivers from having a go. Some of this is a little bit of a test session as well because you don't know when the race ticks over to, well, the race. You don't know what it's going to be. So you might as well do a little practice here anyway. And who knows, maybe you messed up a corner so badly, you are able to claw back some of the time. And especially if you're in the back half of this field right now, that's something that is still in play. If you didn't get a good damp lap, you can still improve on your wet lap just by being more consistent. George Barr for BDG Sim Racing, by far and away now the quickest driver in the silver class, within 1 second of Vanbrugh, the overall pole sitter. Tom Roberts is back this week in the 232 car. Keep in mind, they've won a race this season. They're sitting P2. The best first name in sim racing, Lee Kettle, in third place. Masatoshi Kaneko back to fourth. Adna Pusina behind them in fifth. It's a gaggle of silvers down there.
Sure is. I remember George Barr being in pro. I think the 1.9 update that came out, he just couldn't get to grips with how the cars worked again, so that's why he was back in silver. But I think it's only the first race he's really been up there. Tom Roberts was there for round one. He was flying in the Aston Martins. It still sort of is, you know, they're still sort of close in the silver pack, but obviously George Barr with that qualifying lap might be good round. Nurburgring in the McLaren, just have to see for the race. Obviously race pace is completely different compared to your qualifying pace. You know, you might have heard the term hot lappers, and that's where people only really do qualifying laps, hot laps, one lap sprints if you like, and when it comes to a race they're not very good. They just can't manage the tires, or they just not used to having all the fuel on board. So it's something to look out for, especially when you're surrounded by a lot of pro drivers that really want to get past you, because there's no points for overall position. It's only points in class, but they want to get past you to get get to the pros that are in front of you. So it's going to be an interesting start if George Barr does start on pole for silver, which looks like it. No one else is going back out track apart from Pusina, who's at least 6/10 off of that time. So you never know, Pusina might be able to get a lap out, and a quick one might come out as we see Herbert come across the line in the 944. Will they improve on their lap time? And they do. A 2 minute dead point 295 puts them in fourth. I think they stay in fourth. Very good lap time indeed. We've got Vanbrugh is going around on track. I'm not sure. They're coming up to start their flying lap now. That was their out lap. Let's say that was a bit off. See if they can improve on their 59. Have to see if Jordan Daly can get into the 59. He's just got a 2 minute dead point 020. So Daly is charging to try and get Vanbrugh in that McLaren.
Well, that's the thing about pro drivers is you make a statement you think is kind of obvious, and they go out there and prove you wrong. Jordan Daly got real close to being in the 59s with that lap time, unable to quite do it, and will likely be 3/4 of a tenth off of Vanbrugh, who looks like your likely pole sitter here for round number 3 of 5 of this championship. Flamger, a little bit less than 2/10 off of the overall time. Still out there turning laps for Alpha Sim Sport, the current championship leader. Already in a pretty good starting spot, I'll say. The outside of turn number 1 here on the second row. Not the worst place to be on the racetrack. Some might prefer to be on the inside, but I find you end up running the risk of getting outbraked by somebody behind you and shuffled through that turn. Raphael Huell goes P3 with his most recent lap. 93/100ths of a second off of overall. Flamger might be on one here. Can he get up to the front row? Can he get a spot here as they come across the line? The answer is no. He was the better part of 8/10 off of his lap. A couple of cars still out there, of course, including Paulo Martinho in the Speed.exe 108 car. Portuguese driver looking to get up inside the top 10 with a lap here. To do so, he'll have to displace George Barr, who looks like they have already clinched the silver pole position, and that's not the line for Paolo, and that will ruin their chances of improvement. Asbury for TSS, the only car out there still on the lap. I beg pardon, I'm wrong. The 87 of Vanbrugh is coming across the line. A little bit of a, I suppose, defensive lap from them. No improvement from Vanbrugh. Will we see an improvement from Asbury? And the answer is yes, I think.
No, it was a
The
10th
answer
off
is
his
no.
fastest.
They finished 7th.
Well, there we have it. Bambro Daly and Ralph Hull comes out of nowhere in the Porsche, take 3rd place in the qualifying. Flamger getting knocked down to 4th. Hubert taking 5th. Manley 6th. Asprey 7th. Phil Roberts 8th. Mike Redford 9th. And George Barr taking the top spot in silver in 10th place. Martino just 10th in the pro class. There's Tom Roberts in 2nd for the silver class. Lee Kettle for 3rd. You got Masatoshi Kaneko in 4th. Adna Pacina, Tim Island, Richard Hutchins, and then you got Ashley Bibby, and then you got Jordan Bubbins. And good time from Jordan there, to be honest. You know, as I say, driving any racing game with a wheel in the dry is pretty easy. You chuck a bit of wet in there, and it does get a little bit scary and uneasy. You know, it's not easy just driving in the rain. Even for some of the drivers like Jordan Daly and Julian Vanbrugh, like you can still make easy mistakes with braking, turning, or on the exit of a corner. It's easy to slide.
Yeah, it certainly is. And of course, there are easier ways to make your debut than the Nurburgring in the wet, but that is what courage is, to come out here and try it here today. We'll see where they stack up after the checkered flag, but let's show you how they've stacked up in the championship thus far by looking at the standings after 2 rounds. Timothy Flamger with the outright most amount of points in pro in his Alpha Lamborghini, and 83 points to his name over Jordan Daly with 70. Harry Conway, who is not here, away on vacation this week, 60 points, so he will likely fall down the order a bit. Phil Roberts, who is in 4th place on 39. Mike Redford rounds out your top 5 with 37 points. Quite close between these next couple, all the way up into 4th. Raphael Huell on 36 and 6th. Madley on 33 in 7th. Mo Plate on 30. Grim Lilith, who I believe is also not here this evening, with 26 points. Matthew Malcolm, who's joined us in chat, rounds out your top 10 on 23. A lot to play for there in that second half. Joe Dauber in 11th place, tied with Tyler Hobson for 11th with 18 points. Julian Vanbrugh, your pole sitter today, came in with 15 points. Has a few more now thanks to that pole position, but he sits 13th currently. Alan Asbury tied with Roman Frawler for 14th on 12 points apiece. Paolo Martino on 9. Mark Reinhard on 8. Hubert has 0 points, but has joined us in the championship now from the land of Estonia. Anyone with a dash, of course, in the pro category has retired from the championship. Ted, on to you.
Well, in the silver class, we have George Barr with 78 points, followed by Adna Pacina with 53. Tim Island takes 3rd with 49, joint with Lee Kettle with on 49 as well. Going to be a nice fight there. Follows them is Tom Robertson 5th with 43, Masatoshi Kaneko with 34, Sal Mustak with 18, Ashley Bibby with 16. Richard Hutchinson, Jordan Bubbins, who have just joined for mid-season this round, has 0 points each. And I think everyone else has signed out championship, if I'm right. I'm right.
Nothing gets by you, Mr. Edwards. It's a tight championship points. We're looking at the standings, and of course, we're looking at the chat, and a lot of the drivers chiming in about the difficulty of the qualifying in the rain and perhaps not looking forward to this race. It has continued to rain here on race day. It is not a heavy rain. It's a light rain. I wouldn't even call this medium rain. It is a light rain. With this many cars, 24 of them, it is possible that you could get something of a drier line started on this racetrack, and it might be a very raceable surface, but it also might cause these tires to turn into hot air balloons. It's something that the drivers will have to contemplate here sitting on the grid. Ted, I'm going to turn to you. Chat's pointed it out. and I think it's a very good talking point for us here as we're on the grid. The points are very tight. If you're fourth on back in pro, incredibly tight. If you are second on back in the silver category, it's impossibly tight. If you're in one of those fights right now, like most of the field is, what's the strategy for a dreary, wet race here today?
Well, it's sort of difficult. You just got to stay out of trouble is the main strategy. Obviously, uh, there is a pit to do, spoilers, but there is one pit stop to do, and I'll give some information as we get going around the track in 2 minutes and 40 seconds. But you it's difficult because obviously you don't want to. You need to fight people. You need to gain all the points you can, being so close to each other. But you don't want to have any contacts to pick up any penalty points or anything like that. So you just got to play it nice and clean, and hopefully people in front make mistakes. I've done that with the Monday champ, and I did that with the Wednesday champ, where Wednesday champ I got taken out and made my way back through, and some people just made mistakes, and you just got to take advantage. In the Monday champ as well, it was just sort of chill out and don't push the car too much. Obviously, in that we're all in the Ginetta, so you're all in the same machine. Here is a little bit different, obviously. Everyone's in different machines. The McLarens are pretty quick on the straights. Ferrari is pretty good all round, and obviously the Porsche seems pretty quick around the corners here today. So it's a little bit different, but you just gotta sort of focus on how you drive and keep an eye on the people around you, but also just keeping consistency. I think that's the thing we say every race, Jesse, is the consistency. You just need to get spot on. As long as you keep that going, you'll be good for a good win slash podium if you can get that far. But it's difficult to say without actually driving and without the race actually started. So it's a tricky one.
One thing I find quite interesting is there's not a lot of optimism. Oh my goodness, there it is. There's the Dark Magician, and that is technically an anime, but also technically not at the same time. It's a trading card game, but perhaps also an anime. It's an anime style art. But going back to the chat, not a lot of confidence coming in to this race. A lot of people slightly reserved. Matthew Malcolm says that they're expecting some sort of drama to befall them early in this race. A lot of drivers talking about not being confident in this weather at this particular racetrack. Les Stevenson joined us and had the opposite to say about this race. He's loving it. He loves a little bit of rain here in Night Owl. I reckon that's because he feels he has a little bit of an advantage. We'll see if it plays out like that. But a lot of different takes, a lot of them not particularly confident. Is this track specifically tricky in the wet, or is it just this combo of drivers, the weather, the track? Is it everything that leads to it, or is it just the weather itself here?
I think it's a bit of both. The weather in the track is pretty fun. Obviously it's difficult. You've got some tight corners, you've got some fast corners, like the Schumacher S's, for instance. In the dry, it's pretty easy, but in the wet, you got to sort of let off throttle and sort of get it turned in before you can put the throttle back down again. So you got to think a bit more. But it's not too bad. But you're on about Les. Les not even in this race, Jesse. You know why he's loving it? I think he just loves watching it and watching people suffer a tiny bit in Night Owl Series, as they always do. But you know, they sign up for it. And the number 17 is not moving. That is Mark Reinhard. He is now moving. He needs to catch up to at least near his position, else he'll get teleported back to the pit lane, and he'll have to start from the pits at the back. So I'm pretty sure he's in the red. There is like a delta bar on their screen. He's having looks like some internet issues. His car's getting a little bit drifty on the front, and there you go. He has been teleported back to pit lane. He's obviously either had some technical problems or didn't realise how long he had, which was 5 minutes wait time on grid. So he had enough time, but that is very unfortunate from them. Qualifying in 15th place, 14th in the pro field. Now has to start from behind the silvers. Once the green flag goes, I think he has to wait 30 seconds or so, and then he can go. But yeah, it's a shame, but these things do happen.
Doesn't he? I think he gets released as soon. He gets released
As
from
soon
his
as the
box
green.
as soon as the green comes out. I'm pretty sure.
I think
which
it
means
was. Yeah.
Yeah, he makes it to the end of pit lane by the time the field is clearing turn number 1. Then they
That's
enter
true.
the Mercedes-Benz Arena section. So it's not the worst punishment there is, but it's still not ideal. But in some ways for Reinhardt, it might actually be okay considering it is a wet start. It is a considerable amount of cars, I think we can all agree. And the likelihood of incident is slightly elevated just due to the weather and the profile nature of the racetrack itself. Ted, it's that time of the broadcast where I ask you, what do you think is going to happen here? Does Daly or Flamger get up there and take control of this race, or is this Julian Vanbrugh's to lose?
Well, if Ralph and Daly fight too much, and Julian's going to get away with it that many times in any of our races here at RCI. Same goes for anyone down the grid. As soon as you fight on lap 1, lap 2, when your pressures aren't sort of up there, you're gonna create a roadblock. You're gonna let the guys in front go. Like if Daly can not fight and just try and stick behind Bamborough, or even get past Bamborough, that'll be good. But we know the Ferrari on a start is slow compared to any car around it. Even the Porsche is quicker on a start. So Daly is on the outside for T1. It's going to be very tricky to try and defend. If he can get across behind Bamborough, if he doesn't get a good start, then he'll be okay for the first turn. But if they don't fight, Jesse, they'll be fine. But we just have to wait and see. We've seen a lot of turmoil here at Nurburgring, and it can go south very, very quickly for these drivers. But you know, it's almost that time for the green flag to drop and then to get on their way.
Going to be interesting as we come down and get the green flag in full spray here on the pit straight of the Nürburgring. It's a clean getaway from Julian Vanborough, but unable to convert to the inside is Jordan Daly. Flamger looking to the outside, and he's going to go there 3 wide. Now they're 4 wide. The Lamborghini slightly misses the braking point. Another car off and Anime off in the background as Vanborough gets an excellent start. The Lamborghini contact again there with Jordan Daly. Also bottling up Flamger. Flamger absolutely nowhere to go. Daly goes down to the inside and finally might get clear by the time they exit the arena section. Flamger still scrambling, trying to make that position converted and get back out in front. Raphael Huell now able to skirt away using the inside of the racetrack and also the inside of turn number 1 to get P2. It's Vanborough, Huell, and now Daly back into P3, and I believe that's Herbert in the 944 that missed a couple of the braking zones ever so slightly. Pasutka trying to get the handle of the race car, and I think they finally have. Maybe just a little bit more slidey than they expected it to be. A little argy-bargy, but only a couple of serious issues. I believe the 199,
Yep.
I think that's the 199, has had an issue somewhere near the back of the field.
Sure has, and right at the back, in the silver class, we had the 740 of Kaneko have a crash. The 77 of Hutchins have one as well, with Tim Island, the 141. Going into turn 5 as we get a replay of the crash. It is the Tim Island one. 3 cars having an incident. Let's have a look. Tim Island, he cuts across the Porsche by the looks of it. Oh, and then Hutchins in the background in the black Porsche just gets bumped on his rear end. He was clear and then gets taken out, unfortunately. Here's another replay.
Misses the corner right there, it looked like.
This is with Daly, and this is with Herbert. Obviously going a little bit wide in that 944. Lamborghini, that's the car that we saw send it into T1, just got the braking a little bit too late, and yeah, just have a bit of contact, but Daly did send it a couple of corners later, and he did skip past. As we see, second clear from that Lamborghini. Flamger's trying to get past with 3 tenths behind, where meanwhile Daly, Huell and Vanborough are now fighting for the top spot. 3 different manufacturer of car, 3 different cars that are good in different parts of this track, so it's going to be interesting. Oh, the 225 of Phil Roberts and another car, I think it was the 108, I could be wrong. They've gone round in turn 1, maybe someone's missed the braking there, so we might have a replay. Someone has already retired a car. I will find out who that is because we're down to 23. That might have been, No, Reinhardt is still in this race. Bear with me while I have a look.
Let's take a look at the replay. This is from Alan Asbury. Is this just a miscalculation? A little bit on the braking zone there for Phil Roberts, and that sends Alan Asbury around. And that's a shame for both of those cars as they drop down the field quite a bit because of it. Both of them still in the race, of course. Phil Roberts allowing Asbury to come back through. Something that you traditionally see here quite a bit. The sportsmanship guidelines don't dictate that you do that, but it options that you can do that, and a lot of drivers erring on the side of sportsmanship here. Of course, Phil Roberts no different than that. That's a real shame for Phil. They were up inside the top 10. That was a cracking start from them after their qualifying wasn't as stellar as they probably would have liked if they had already got up inside the top 10.
Well, I have some news on the person who retired the car. It was Matthew Malcolm. I looked through the replay, looked across the chat, and there he is. ACC switched my tyres to dry when I asked for wet.
No.
The typical thing ACC does, not all the time, it's just random. I think it's like this little bug that rarely happens, so it's not really pulled up upon. And yeah, he had dry tyres on a wet track. He said he saved it, but I say, wait, it's damp now due to the cars going around. But he said he didn't even realise, didn't even know how I saved it as the wet setup, so that's why we saw him spin around.
Has had some of the most rotten luck I've seen in a championship in my entire broadcasting career. Just absolutely horrible luck, and getting ACC'd on top of that, absolutely no fault of their own. Just horrible.
Well, like I say, there's always the next season to do better, but it's not your fault. Things like that happen, and just, you know, it happens to everyone. I've had it once before. Had to pit straight away on lap 1. As we see, Ralph Hill trying to go around the outside of this McLaren into this corner and not being able to make it. John Daly having a look to see if he can go for it. He's going for it. It's going to be too wide through the Schumacher S's. Ralph Hill sticks in there. John Daly does make it through. That is amazing driving. See the 944 in the background, 1.2 seconds back. Flanger has dropped off of the 944, is now a second off them. Redford is 1.4 seconds away from Flanger, but closely followed by Madley by half a second. Whereas the silver class, George Barr is 3/10 off of Joe Dolber, closely followed 8/10 behind by Roman Fralla, but then Tom Roberts is 1.5 seconds behind them. So silver class a bit spread out for first and second. Third is second gap to Ash Bibby. I hadn't seen her, is struggling there a bit, but obviously the top 3, I think, just with that crash just split them up a bit more than everyone would have liked to, really, Jesse. It's you know, we're only 6 minutes into this race, and already pros are pretty close here. Top 5 now, within 3 seconds of first to fifth, whereas the silver category is just spread out a bit. So this is when the pit strategy comes into play, as we see Ferrari on Ferrari. Dolber saying, I'm not going to hit your rear end, let me go this way quickly, which was a very good move and quick reaction.
Oh no!
They still make contact. Hit him, but then make him face the right way again, Polio.
Here comes George Barr trying to skirt through this, doesn't want any part of this fight. Does enjoy having extra cars in between him and Tom Roberts. The gap had come down to 2.2 seconds between those two. Keep in mind, there was 5 or 6 car rows of a gap to start the race. Tom Roberts was able to work their way up through the field, but that makes George Barr a little happier now.
Yeah, it was a very good move from Dolber with the switchback, but yeah, the other Ferrari just being a bit more slower, and obviously Dolber had more speed, so they got a bit of a slippier exit, if you like, going out wide and just making contact with the 108 Ferrari, but still, you know, it taps the rear end and then taps the front to make them come straight again, which isn't too bad, but still can be a reportable offence. Obviously, no live stewarding for season 16 of Night Owl, unfortunately. If you would like to be a
Oh, he's
steward,
going for it!
Daly is. I didn't even know Daly was second. Oh yeah, we knew Daly was second place. It's only 7 minutes in, 8 minutes in, Jesse, and I'm already losing my mind.
It's been a crazy start of the race. A lot's happened. Jordan Daly takes over the fastest lap of the race here, and that's pretty much what you need to know. Daly fell down to 4th place. Actually, I believe was 5th. In fact, I believe he fell down to 5th and had to get that spot back. He's now past Huell. He did that a lap or so ago into the Schumacher S's, and now all over the back of Vanbrugh. I don't think that was a real move into the Coca-Cola curve, to be fair. I think he was just showing him his nose and hoping maybe he would overreact and go wide. Julian Vanbrugh did not do that, as you would expect a pro driver to not fall for it. He didn't, held his line, and rightfully so. But close racing here on all accounts. Raphael now right on the back of Daly again. Apologize to Hubert. I've been calling him Herbert, and I am very sorry for that. That is Hubert. And
it's very. I did the same thing. There is a Porsche team, IRL, that is Herbert Motorsport or Herbert Racing, and it just looks the same. There's just one letter. The R is not there after the U, but it's just so easy to say Herbert, because it just slides off the tongue. Whereas Hubert is something you don't really see every day. But Herbert is like sherbet, as I see it, and it's I like sweets every now and then. But yeah, it's Hubert. But
well,
yeah, he's.
Ted, you're sweet enough as it is. But with apologies to Hubert Pastuska, I just completely kept calling him Herbert over and over again. And I've only just realized, looking at his entry blank, that's Hubert. But you know, you can't laugh at yourself. You can't laugh at anything, I suppose. The 87 leads the 197, leads the 21. And if they don't get a shake a leg here, Mr. Hubert Pastuska is going to catch up to this group and make it a four-way fight. And if that happens, they're going to bring the championship leader for Alpha Sim Sport, Timothy Flamger, back into this thing. If they all do end up nose to tail, which I'm starting to worry that might happen here in a lap or so, folks, and it's all, oh my goodness, it's almost doing that right now. This is exactly what happened a couple of weeks ago as well. So quite close racing here in the early going. Tom Roberts has made a pass on one of the silver cars, or maybe it was George Barr being passed by one of the silver cars. One way or another, there are now only 2 cars in between him and the BDG driver, George Barr, for the lead in that class. Those two have separated themselves from the rest. Adna Pusina leading Masatoshi Kaneko, who had a less than auspicious start to this race into the arena section of the track, but has recovered quite nicely. Ash Bibby in the 69 inside the top 5 in the silver class over Lee Kettle, and Bubbins, of course, running down there 23rd place, but of course, due to the retirement, not last in this race. We have yet to have a first-time driver finish last in their first race in RCI in 2023.
That is true. Well, about to say about these top drivers, as Raphael's now going to get in a fight with John Day. John Day looking to go on the McLaren. God, that's nice and tight. It's so close. I was about to say, the Lamborghinis through the final half of the second sector and the third sector are very quick. They end up a second behind them in the first sector, but then they're back there by the third sector. They keep getting within half a second, but then keep dropping off to a second. Look how close they are now compared to these 3 guys. These 3 cars in front, first, second, third, they're not fighting much. They you know, they're getting side by side, but they're not fighting through corners. They're not slowing each other down too much anyway. They're still setting fastest laps. But if you look at the time, 0.8 and 0.3 for Flamger on each other there, and you'll see again, they'll go back to about a second or 1.2 seconds through the tightest sections of this. I wonder if they don't have as much grip as these 3 cars, because they're a different manufacturer. And it's weird to see both the Lamborghinis not fighting anyone, just following each other and trying to catch up to these 3 here. Losing time, as I say that, they're going to be fighting through here. John Daly tries to go through the inside, doesn't make it, goes wide. Ralph Huell goes on the outside. he does make it through, so there's no switch there in the class. It's I feel, Jesse, this is gonna be one crazy cast today.
Yeah, I feel like both these cars, Huel and Daly, are a little bit quicker than Vanbrugh right now, but the problem with that is they're not quick enough to just to pass them. Of course, you'd need a lot of time to be able to do that, and of course, Vanbrugh gets to dictate the line down into the corner like he just did into the hairpin here. He goes a little bit defensive, but not all the way against the line. That was enough to ward Huel off for the time being. Now, Raphael driving the Iron Lynx liveried Porsche, trying to figure out their way around Vanbrugh, something Daly wasn't quite able to do before being re-attacked, but here he is. Daly going back up the outside. If you can pin the car to the inside, you can get a better run on the outside of this corner, but it's not going to happen here in the wet. Daly's going to run off the racetrack, but it's going to be okay. He's going to have the inside here. Hubert's not going to be able to convert this position, I'm quite sure. As Hubert drives off to the racetrack, here comes Timothy Flamger for Alpha Simsport up the inside. This could be the pass that Flamger's been looking for, and it is.
Yeah, Timmy for Flamger just putting his hand out to Daly, just shaking Daly's hand, saying thank you for that, pushing him a little bit wide onto the gravel. That's made me get past him pretty easily now, but it's just going to be such a big fight today. Mike Redford is now 2.5 seconds behind the 944, even with this fighting. Redford's on his own a race against Madley, and then Roman Fraller's 4 seconds behind Madley as well, so Roman's going to be fighting the other pros in class. So there's a few fights being split up in the respective positions, so it's going to be interesting what happens. Tim Ireland's now catching Reinhard, and Reinhard's on the rear end of Bibby. So 45 minutes left of this race, Jesse. It's going to get very interesting, especially with the pit requirements we have today.
Yes, indeed. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens in the pit stage of this race. It's been very, I would say, stressful for the drivers thus far in this season, because there has been a mix of everything, and it has changed the complexion of some of these races. There's so many little intricacies inside the pit window. Of course, a bigger one here on 9 you got a full 30 minutes to get it done, the entire middle section of the race, in fact. But when you decide to deploy that pit stop, that could be an offensive or a defensive move. If you're backing somebody up like Julian Vanbrugh is, you are not going to pit until everybody else behind you pits, or until you absolutely have to pit, whether that be the timer causing that or you running out of fuel. So Vanbrugh very much needs to stay right where he is, holding up Huel, Daly, Flamger, Mastuska, all of those cars. Lee Kettle has not had a particularly great race, and it's gone wrong here. Dips a tire off into the grass. That's hard into the outside retaining wall, or you get to the hairpin, of course, and that's massive damage that will further disrupt their race. Now, talked about using it defensively and offensively. There's also doing it when it's required, and I believe the best first name in sim racing going to have to come down pit road quite sharpish, because that was a massive frontal impact.
Yeah, well, we haven't gone over the pit requirements, but it is a 1 mandatory stop with 1 litre of fuel required in the 30-minute pit window. As you see, it opened a minute and a half ago. They also have to do a fixed refueling time of 25 seconds, so it doesn't matter how much fuel you put in, it's going to be 25-second hold. So they can do tyres for an extra 5 seconds, but obviously Lee Kettle's going to have to do more than that with the damage they have. As we see first car come down pit lane, Phil Roberts. Very early, I would think. Speaking
now
to Daly,
that's an offensive pit stop right there by Kaiju Racing.
Sure is. And I asked Daly before the race, saying, you gonna take tyres or not? He goes, of course I'm gonna take tyres. You always take tyres if it's a fixed fuel. I'm like, oh, okay, fair enough. So I believe he's going to be taking some tyres today, and the reason being is you're just going to have fresher tyres, is what he said, which is true. It makes all sense. Obviously the wets don't wear as quickly compared to the dry tyres, but you still obviously you lose some of that grip throughout an hour race. So I'm pretty sure most of these drivers are going to take tyres. We just have to see how long Phil would take, but Phil is retired the car.
He sure has. He came to
He
pit road.
he did
but he
have
has
an incident
retired the
early on
car.
in the
Oh,
race.
huge run here. Vanbrugh runs a little bit wide. Huell has a tighter inside line, but Vanbrugh controls the inside part of the chicane, and that's all that really mattered. Got a clean run in and out of it, and still your leader, Team Spain without the A, Team Spin, Julian Vanbrugh, continuing to lead the race and continuing to frustrate Raphael Huell, exactly like you did on the initial offing of the race. You know, Jordan Daly has fallen off ever so slightly from this group. I say ever so slightly. I do mean that literally. This might be a time for an offensive pit stop if he's going to change tires on that car. Tick the time down just a little bit longer, get closer to halfway, come in, change the tires, and hope that Vanbrugh continues to run Huell long, continues to stymie Huell's run, does
Bibby.
Vanbrugh.
So sorry, Jesse. Big crash going into the chicane. Do apologise for cutting over you there. Yes, Tim Island behind. Oh, just gets his braking all wrong, and I'm not really sure who is at fault. I'd say Tim probably with the braking. But yeah, that's a massive impact on the front of the beamer and on the rear end of that Ferrari. So that's going to be some more damage being repaired in pit lane.
Very unfortunate there in the chicane, one of the places where it all sort of bottlenecks together. Miscommunication between the two drivers for sure. Contact there. And off went Ash Bibby into the corner, skidding through there. All those drivers fighting over 19th place at the moment. Reinhardt, who started from pit lane, missed the initial start. Had to start from pit lane. He's continued on. He started 24th. He's up to 18th, so he's gained a fistful of positions, 7 in fact, since the initial start of the race. As we mentioned earlier, maybe one of the better places to start on a race with the weather like it is today. Get yourself far enough behind any drama that you're able just to pick your way through it. And that's exactly what Reinhardt's been able to do thus far.
I thought this was a fight between Kaneko and Roberts, but it's not. Roberts is 7 seconds up the road. Car in front is the Lee Kettle, the 962, who's done their pit stop, done their damage, and now are being lapped by the middle of the pack, if you like. But no, Tom Roberts is way ahead. He's let the pro drivers through that was behind him. I would say he's let them through, them probably being faster on a lap, and rather than try and fight them and defend, just let them pass, and then you can keep going on your lap times and try and be consistent. But no, this is Pacina and Kaneko fighting for third in the silver class. And yeah, it's two different type of cars here. The Porsche, good with the grip, still got a bit of power, but then the M4 is pretty quick on them straights. As Kaneko is trying to get round this M4, and you just see the lines. It's just trying to find a gap, trying to find the most grip that you can. Tim Island is in pit lane, as you can see there, but some nice fights happening now tonight, Jesse. It's definitely a race that I've been waiting for the whole season.
Yeah, it's been entertaining thus far, and I think with the pit stops upcoming for the majority of the cars, this is going to be very interesting to see how it shakes out, because it could go either way. Nobody's made the right or wrong move yet. Not enough cars have pitted. Oh my goodness, the braking stopping power of Masatoshi's car, the Sanduck 740 car. Braking power of that car out is very superior to most GT machinery, and nearly overran themselves into the hairpin, was just able to get it stopped behind Adna. So no real harm or foul there, but that will get Pacina's attention, we'll say, for the next lap or so, worrying that maybe Kaneko's going to do it again. I doubt, I can tell you in all certainty that wasn't on purpose. Just a slight misjudgment there. Running wide there was Pacina, but of course on the faster parts of the racetrack, the Porsche not quite the quickest car in a straight line. A little bit of a lack of horsepower there, but like you said earlier, really good in the corners. Even in the wet like this, it has a little bit of an advantage, especially in braking. Paolo Martino for Speed EXE into the lane. And that's interesting because that's the highest up car to come into pit lane thus far. Pitted out of 14th. And I wonder, you talked to Daly, said that he was going to take tires. Why wouldn't you? So I'm quite curious how many other drivers are going to do that. As off the racetrack is Madley. Justin Madley for Steady Start Racing. He's steady back on. But a moment there, I wonder if he had to ditch it to keep from running into the back of Redford into that corner. Or maybe he just missed it, hooked the grass.
Not too sure. Well, we'll see what the pit stop time is once Martino comes out pit lane. Just noticed Lee Kettle's back in pit lane. Not sure exactly why. Maybe another retirement for this race. Very confusing indeed. But I think why Phil Roberts retired was he had that incident earlier on, like 1 or 2, in the stadium, in the Mercedes part of the track. I did see the 225 round. I forgot how, but I think that's why they came in as soon as it opened, and then decided that maybe I can't be bothered to do this race anymore due to how much damage I have and how far back I'll be, which is, fair enough.
Lee Kettle's moving again.
One of those days.
Is that retiring the car? He has made a secondary pit stop, though. He definitely spent a long time on pit road the first time. He had satisfied the minimum pit requirement the first time, did Lee Kettle for BDG. And you would suspect a lengthy repair for the front end of that car after he took a trip to the barrier. But he has come in a second time. That's an unscheduled stop for the 962, but they have not retired that race car. It's still out there. So something amiss there. Maybe they take enough fuel? Do you know the answer?
I just had a look at our special replays that we can have, that we do have, and he was on dry tires.
So the pit stop, he didn't set up his pit stop for wets, and it defaulted to dries.
Yep. So that's why he came back in to switch back on to the wet tire. Very unfortunate. It's going to put him further back than he already is. He's already 1 lap behind most of the rear end of the field from Ash Bibby backwards. They're 1 lap behind everyone in front, and now he's going to be 2 laps behind the leader. So very unfortunate, as we see Roman Fralers getting pounced on by George Barr in the silver class, leading silver class by quite a way. Got some pros following him, Joe Dolber, Alan Asprey following behind, but Roman Fralers holding his own, saying no, Mr. Silverman, you're not coming past.
Mr. Silverman, of course, is George Barr's official designation. If you didn't know, I'm being sarcastic, of course. Jordan Daly has snuck by Raphael Huell for P2. He's made that pass for the second time tonight. We didn't quite catch how that occurred, but he definitely has done it for Triple R. Back up to P2 is Daly. Looked like for a second, oh my goodness, them Duke boys are at it again into the chicane. But we don't know how it happened. We imagine it was very similar to the first, however, as Huell and Daly very cleanly fighting each other throughout this race thus far. And I wonder if we're not done with it yet. Timothy Flamker becomes the furthest up the field driver to pit. The Alpha Sim Sport number 19 from America down to the pit lane. Keep in mind, they were running inside the top 5 at the time. And again, I think that's another offensive stop. Either they were losing time or they were in an advantageous position where folks were fighting around them. And now was the right time to come maybe a lap earlier than they otherwise would do. Tom Roberts for Roberts Motorsports, the man who I think at this time is a part-time sim racer, but definitely showed up and immediately remembered how to win. John Razor jacked up on America. Let's go, USA. We're number 1 in a lot of categories. Obesity, not one of them.
Here comes Ash.
Take that.
Wait, Ash is very slow. He's got his pit limiter already on.
He doesn't know. He probably doesn't know where the line is. He probably thinks it starts out by the wall. Yeah.
Oh, Ash, what are you doing? It's fine.
He's being
better
very
safe than
safe
sorry
about it, you know?
Yes. It's very safe than sorry. Is better than getting a drive-through route and stop and go 30. Can definitely ruin your race. He's only lost. I say he would have lost at least 7 to 10 seconds from where he turned it on. So um, it's very surprising to see someone use manual pit limiter when we have the auto limiter turned on our servers. We've never turned them off. Apart from the racing line, we turn that off because the racing line is not the fast line. Just so you know, never practice. John Daly is coming into pit lane. Do not speed. Someone else in front is as well. That is Bobbins is in to do his first ever mandatory pit stop in ACC.
I think he's nailed it as well. Has Jordan Bubbins. So has Jordan Daly. No issues there, at least to my naked eye. That looked very, very by the boards. Several cars now coming in. The question will become, does this force anybody else down pit lane? Will this force Vanbrugh down pit lane to try and counter the pit stop from Daly? Of course, Daly would quite like it if Huell got back up there and slowed Vanbrugh down a little bit, made him take a slower inside or a defensive line. That's not the case right now. Both cars running in space for the time being. Edna Prusina into the pit lane, the 903. Pitting out of third place in their category. Of course, Barr continues to lead, hasn't done their stop. Kaneko, very same. Tom Roberts was clean in and off of pit road. No issues thus far, even in these tricky conditions.
Oh, I have some lovely news. John Daly's just come out of pit lane, 1 minute 17.4. Maybe it looks about right. Everyone's doing 115s, 116s. There's a few people have done some damage repair. Lee Kettle's 116. That was just him changing onto some new tyres, so that was just a normal 30-second pit stop. Timothy Flamger, 1 minute 8. That's a little bit different from a 1 minute 17, Jesse.
Yeah, that's a quite a long stop, isn't it?
Yeah, so I'm gonna say that Lamborghini did not take tyres, as we see the leader coming into pit lane, as Ralph Huell will take a lap in the lead in that Porsche number 21. Huber is coming in now as well in the 944. Will Redford join him as well? Redford does not. The 76 doesn't either. Number 6 looks like they might be. They are not. The 212 is, and the 777 carries on as well.
Pastuska's in the lane, and so is Vanbrugh. Huell, like you said, continuing on. And you wonder if Huell, if they'll push it an extra few laps here, trying to make up some of that gap. It was about 1.5 seconds between him and the leader, and also try and fend off maybe Jordan Daly. But Timothy Flamger is confirmed in front of Daly. Flamger, one of the earlier pitters in the race. Now Daly 3.1 behind. We suspect that the number 19 Alpha Sim Sport car has not taken tires. I feel that Ted's absolutely correct with that. And that may promote Flamger as high as the lead, depending on the stop of Vanbrugh and Huell. We're going to see here as they race off the pit lane. No, Vanbrugh still out in front here. You see the 87 entering turn number 1. Here comes Flamger. So this could potentially be P2 once it all settles out right now.
Oh,
the top.
Sorry, Hubert didn't take tyres either. That's why they've come out in front of Daly, in between the leader and the Daly as well. So-called leader Vanbrugh, obviously everyone else in front needs to do pit stops, but there you go, 2 Lamborghinis not taking tyres.
Hubert Pastuska out there as well. All those cars we suspect in front of the 197 have elected to not take tires. You can save 5 seconds, but at what cost at the end of this race? How much traction, how much heat will you have built up in the tires? And how sketchy will it be to drive on? And that will be the question. That's not a problem right now with 27.5 to go. That might be a problem with 10 minutes to go, though, as these tires continue to fall away. Raphael Huell from the lead of the race comes down pit lane. Looks like a good entry, a nice conservative entry, the 65. Jordan Bubbins off the track into the hairpin. I would imagine has dipped a tire off somewhere.
I think that was the car that was sort of in the way of people, the leaders. So, well, the leaders that have pitted, for instance. I'm not sure what happened. We'll get a replay now, I believe. No, this is the 944.
No, he was already.
Oh, he tried to rejoin. He went wide. He tried to rejoin, and yeah, just got his rear end with front end and put poor Bubbins in the wall. Hopefully there's not much damage. They've already done their pit stop. And I was going to ask why Bubbins was still in the pit stop for ages. And he comes into the chat saying, not going to lie, my pit stop was only 25 seconds, but really needed a toilet really bad. That's why he was there. But
well, when you gotta go, you gotta go. By the way, John Razor out here absolutely tattling on people in chat. Laid out the pit strategy that they would do, and also now is telling on the other cars, guaranteeing the 19 did not take tires. And yeah, we're definitely inclined to agree based on the gap at the time. Though it is could be said, Daly was 3.1 seconds behind Flamger at the time. Of course, Hubert Pastuska has also passed Daly by virtue of not taking tires, and Daly has ate up that gap. It was 3.1 seconds to Flamger, and now it's only 3.4 seconds to Flamger, only a lap or so later. So those tires are absolutely doing work for the Just Gamers Triple R 197 right now.
Sure is. Ralph Fuel was 1 minute 15.9 in the pit stop, so they took tyres as well. Dolber took tyres. Vanbra's 1 minute 13, so they took tyres. Got a really good stop in their pit box. So very well done for them there. But yeah,
Masatoshi Kaneko has not taken tires in pit lane. They're in front of George Barr for silver look.
Now,
wait, no, that can't be right. They have just pitted, is what's happened, and they're out of. That makes a lot more sense. I was gonna say I was all on board with that theory until I saw the 28-second gap, and I was like, "There's no way they have got an F1 pit crew out here this weekend. That's not allowed." But that was just the amount of position. So, forgive me for raising alarm. Everything has reset to standard. George Barr continues to lead in the silver class. Masatoshi now up to P2 in front of Adna Prisina. Richard Hutchins in fourth place in that class. Tim Ireland now rounding out your top five. Very close here. Daly really wants to get a move on here, Ted.
Yeah, he sure does. He's just got to try and find his way past this Lamborghini that seems to be quite quick in the straight line. Doesn't have any tow from anyone else, but look at that. Daly just can't get him. Will he get into a braking zone? Will he send it? And he does a send in the T1. Will there be a switch back? No, there won't be. So he makes it past. He just needs to catch up with Huel now. Flamger in front of Huel. So Vanbrugh is first, Flamger second, Huel is third, Daly's now fourth. With,
all exiting pit lane though. They are behind Vanbrugh, Flamger, and Huel.
Okay, sure. And Bubbins in chat with us now. Wheels are dead. Well, Bubbins, just keep going, my dude. You can finish this race. Only 24 minutes left to go. It's not easy. And by what you said, you're only 25 seconds. You didn't take tires, but they will last to the end of the race. Just keep doing your drive, staying out of people's way, and you'll be good for the end of the race. So you are doing amazing. For your first race here in Night Owl.
Gets better every week. If this is the low point of your career, your starting race typically is for a lot of people, at least for a very long time. And it's looking pretty good. The future's looking real bright is what I'm trying to get at here, because it hasn't been too terrible of a race. A little bit of contact maybe, and a slow pit stop based on digestive restrictions, but beyond that, that was a really nice way of saying what I wanted to say. You can fill in the blanks at home, folks. You're smart people. But beyond that, pretty solid first outing. Oh, it's not going to be solid here, though it is going to be solid contact between Flamger and Huel. They take each other out. Jordan Daly will say thank you very much, and now has a clear path on Julian Vanbrugh. He still has to catch him, but let's see. Into the chicane, the contact, the Porsche able to brake much later. May have outbroke himself just a little bit, did Huel, but the end result the same. Both Flamger and Huel into the sand on the exit. of the chicane. Drama here in the final 25, and that's not what we thought we were going to see. And now a free run for Jordan Daly. It is the Christmas season, and it is the spirit of giving, but in the worst possible way. Jordan Daly will take it, though, P2, and that puts Hubert Pastuska up into third in, I don't think this is his first race, but it's definitely his first race in this championship. They'll say thank you very much. Redford now up to fourth, as everybody else trying to pick up the pieces behind there.
Oh, that Porsche getting all wavy on the exit there. Front end damage is going to screw that car up, Jesse.
Yeah, it sure is. And now as a driver, you're a little bit rattled if you're Huel, because again, no driver drives into a corner intentionally trying to take somebody out or have an issue. That's not how that works. Huel thought that he hit the braking point at the right time, visibility being what it is. The car's of natural ability also a part of that, and just sort of got into him.
Well, Mike Redford came in chat just a minute ago, Jesse, saying, "Can Madley please go away?"
There were 1-2 at the time, yeah.
Yeah, well, Madley's now stuck in between Flamger and Huel, and there's Redford there in the red and blue McLaren, just sort of staying away from these three here. Where they'll fight, and Redford can try and run away with the fourth place here today in Night Owl Championship. Not doing that though, Redford, as you can hear me. Don't touch the gravel, and you'll be okay.
Well, one thing about racing in these conditions, as Huel is side by side of the background with, I think that's Madley.
Yeah, sure.
It is Justin Madley for Steady Start Racing. Madley's going to win that fight into the chicane. One of the biggest problems, one of the biggest things, Ted, about racing on a wet racetrack is consistency. Because it's something you do so infrequently throughout your career, a lot of times it's something that you sort of neglect. You're more interested in running the quickest times you possibly can on an optimum racetrack. And consistency is definitely key. I just wish there was a place people could go to get more consistent in the wet.
There sure is. Driver 61 can help you with their coaching. They help sim racers to fulfill their potential on the track, and they do one-on-one driver coaching, which will help you guys very much. I think a few of our staff have done it, and they've come out a lot better and a lot more consistent, and just a lot more better racecraft with other drivers. You can find Driver 61 in our description below. Just make sure you go and check them out, even if you just have a quick look and see what they do. As we have a bit of contact with Huel and Madley, they probably need a bit of Driver 61 in this race today, but yeah, go and check them out. They're in the description below. Like I say, they've helped out quite a few of our staff members that have raced here and raced in other places as well, and they've said, you know, it has helped. You don't think it will help. You think if you just drive normally and you do your own thing, but if you have someone who's more experienced to help you along, you pick up a lot of pointers, and it goes a long way.
Certainly can do.
Ooh, 65. Oh, that's Bubbins on the main straight. Was yellow flagged, now has towed to their pit box. I'm not sure if we're going to get a replay, as there was no contact with anyone else, but let's have, oh, is this another contact? Oh,
what on earth happened there on a straight? That is so strange. Tim Ireland's unsure what happened. I don't know if Bubbins knows what happened there. That's very odd.
That Bubbins was really slow coming out the corner. I'm not sure what had happened. Tim Ireland, obviously, it was much faster, as we saw there, and tried to move out the way of the Ferrari and just rear-ended them. Obviously knew that they were out the most fault there, and that's why they stopped on the track. They're very weird indeed, and very unfortunate, but can't say what happened, as we do not know. But
I have no idea who was at fault or what happened. I'm glad that's not my job to decide, but very strange indeed. Round number 2 between these two, though.
Bubbins in the chat saying, I was too slow out the corner, it was my fault that happened. So just Ireland didn't realise what Bubbins was doing, didn't realise the speed that Bubbins was doing coming out that corner, and yeah, just an accident happened, if you like, but very unfortunate there. yeah, hopefully you can come back into the race, as you will not finish last, but unlucky for you, my dude.
Julian Vanbrugh enjoys a 3.5-second lead over Jordan Daly. Now keep an eye on that gap. Daly definitely took tires. I don't think Vanbrugh did. But either way, the gap 3.5 seconds. Will it start to come down? There is enough time to make up that gap in 17 minutes left here tonight. But they're going to have to get a move on. In fact, it's 3.062. So call it 3 seconds even. Now, gained half a second in that sector alone did Triple R's Jordan Daly. This is huge for the championship because this man, Timothy Flamger, who leads the championship, is back here trying to stay inside the top 5 late in this race. This could swing the champ in Jordan Daly's favor, a driver who's going for 3 Night Owl championships, 3 in a row. Some of the most insane statistics coming out of the Triple R camp now. If Daly was able to win it, of course, it's a long way off the championship being settled, that is. That would mean Triple R has 2 3-time Night Owl champions. Insane.
Yeah,
absolutely insane.
Harry Conway isn't here tonight to try and fight back as he did last weekend, so he's going to lose a lot of points and most likely not be able to win outright unless Daly and Flamger just don't turn up for the rest of the champ, which I doubt that will happen. Obviously Daly will want to get his 3rd, and Flamger will want to get, I think, his 1st or his 2nd. I can't remember, but just thinking to myself about these cars here, Hill, Madley, and Flamger, and obviously we saw the contact between the Porsche and the Lamborghini up to the chicane. Porsche's got front end damage, as we saw. The Lamborghini's got rear end damage, so that's going to make it a bit more slippy. And I was looking at Madley when, oh, there you go, Madley in the background, off the track, gone so far deep. And I noticed he's got damage or scrapes and scratches on the front of that Ferrari, as you see there. I wonder if he's made contact with someone else, and that's why he's struggling, because he's dropped back. Obviously he's gone on to the gravel just a minute ago, that's why he's dropped back into Fraller's view. But this might be the contact. Well, the damage on the front there, that's just a slight contact. I think we saw that earlier, but I'm not too sure. I know Redford was moaning that he wanted him to get away, wanted Madley to go away, but yeah, something's happened with that Ferrari and they have dropped pace massively in the race today.
I'm just watching our chat, and Mike Redford doing what Mike Redford does, and he's one of the few drivers that talks and types at the same time, and everybody in chat is telling him to, and I'm paraphrasing of course, shut up and drive the car, go up there and catch Pastuska and Daly and all them, and he just keeps typing back at him. It's quite humorous to see them going back and forth there in the chat between potential friends and maybe some fans of his, telling him to stop doing that, stop typing, and drive the darn car. Redford's going to be quick no matter what, so I agree with his ability on that note. But also, I also agree with chat. It is not considered very advantageous to text and drive. So, you know, don't do that. Arrive alive, I think, is the American slogan for the don't text and drive thing here in America. Justin Madley trying to hang on to P7 over Roman Frawler, and Joe Dauber lingering in the background. And in fact, if they move out of the way, in fact, they just did. Excellent timing. You will see an Asbury in the background as well. All these cars fighting over 7th place. Good points here in maybe vital points in a tight championship race. Jordan Daly, 1.4 seconds back of Vanbrugh now. Gained a bunch of time, and it slowed down ever so slightly in the last lap or so, but still well within striking distance is the 197 on the 87 here.
Noticed Jordan Bubbins has a drive-through penalty. I'm not sure if that's for track limits or speeding in pit lane, but they do need to pit in, I think, 2 laps now. They've come across the line. They do need to serve a drive-through penalty, else they will get disqualified from the race. And I don't want to see them being disqualified from the first race. Madly goes off the track massively, letting through Roman and maybe. Oh, hello, bit of slide there. Joe Double is now stuck in roadblock mode. That is very unfortunate. I looked like Madly just lit up the rear end, like they were on no TC.
Let's see what happens here with the race replay. Oh no, this is an Ash Bibby incident. Yep.
Oh, that was Vanbrugh going into.
That would
Ash.
explain, Ted. That's good. That would explain how Daly was 3 seconds behind, and in the next sector was under 2 seconds behind. This is the replay with Madly.
It's like his TC turned off and he just floored it like you would normally do. Yeah, and then poor Dolber just got stuck, and now he's almost 4 seconds behind Asprey. He's lost one position, but basically he's lost a few positions, if you like, because that's a lot of seconds to get back in 11 minutes. Unless he gets his pace on point, as Redford is, Redford's just done his fastest lap of the race, a 2-minute dead .852, very quick indeed. And that's what happens when you stop typing in chat and you just focus on the race.
Hey, look, I give Redford credit. He's gonna be quick no matter what he does. But I can promise you that chat is right in this instance for Mike Redford. That you will be slightly quicker. Yeah,
See?
you will be slightly quicker if you just stop typing and do the driving. Though of course Mike's not doing it in the corners. He's doing it on the straight where he has nothing really to lose anyway. But mentally. When you're only focused on one thing, I would generally agree a little bit better. And I think he's going to get there. He might take third away here. Will Mike Redford, the Mike Not Sheep Racing number 95. Feel free to check out Mike Racing on Twitch, I do believe. Oh, excuse me, it's Mike Red 95 on Twitch.
Well, I'd just like to give a shout out to AK Esports for helping us with our servers, really. We wouldn't have these races without them. We've got a few chants going on at the moment. I'll give it a lift to you at the end of the race, after the standings, and maybe after the interviews if we have any. But they help us with our server solutions here at RCI. We just wouldn't be able to do this without them. So thank to them muchly, and you can find them at akesports.it, which will be in the description below. And it's just nice of them to help out with us for the past few years now.
Yeah, AK Esports, just a fantastic company to work with. Off in the Mercedes-Benz Arena, let's see.
108.
Did we catch what happened? Yeah, the 108, but this is Madly. Oh, it's happened again. It's happened again for Justin Madly. Oh, and it's a huge crash. The 108 of Paolo Martinio careening into the outside wall there. That
was a slide and a half from the silver Ferrari there. They were just a passenger in that. Obviously, they almost got away. You just clipped the rear end. And there, as we see Daly going for a move on the first place. Oh, a little bit of contact there. Gonna have to sort of give it back in a way. Nice try, Daly. That was very, very close. That could have gone so wrong. We could have seen another crash straight away, but held on. Both cars held on there. But yeah, that poor silver Ferrari just slid off to the right and just went straight for the barrier. So that's gonna have a lot of damage on that car. So quite a lot of these cars tonight, Jesse, have damage. A few of them have repaired, but quite a few of them still running around with damage on their flanger. You'll have damage with Madly and now Martinio with damage as well.
Not really surprised by that. A wet weather race, especially here at the Nurburgring, invites a lot of contact. It's not the widest circuit on Earth, and a lot of the lines, even if there are multiple lines to use, which there are, they tend to converge quite tightly together, and the margin of error is so very, very small. So a lot of contact here. There's been a lot of rear enders here today, which I think is the shock to me. I wouldn't generally expect to see quite as much of that as we've seen, but some of that can be explained by the weather. Some of it can be explained with how close they're racing in proximity. Eventually, something's going to go a bit wrong. The 69 off of the racing surface in the arena.
This
Contact here
fight is
again.
still going.
Vanbrugh still able to maintain out of the hairpin and up the S's in front of Daly. Daly's got to take a breath here. He's got to reassess because too many of these contacts could see you at the wrong end of a penalty in about a week's time. You got to make this cleanly. You've got to do this right, and you've got to do it definitively, and it's not been done definitively yet. Vanbrugh's going to fight you tooth and nail. You know that, but you've got to catch him napping. You've got to catch him at a weak point of the racetrack, and you certainly can't force this move. 6 minutes, 45 seconds left to go in the race, and it's on again for the top two. I don't have a statistic specifically about this, but if I had to have one, I would reckon Jordan Daly is responsible for the most passes inside the final 10 minutes of races here at RCI. Vanbrugh probably doesn't know that. He probably doesn't care. Oh, and it's a weak point there for Vanbrugh. He gets onto the curb. He slides over it, and he slows himself down just a little bit. Chat was talking very early on in this race. They reckon the Ferrari has the grip advantage here, maybe a little bit of a pace advantage, especially in the wet weather conditions. So we'll see how much that plays a factor. Different tires on these cars, of course. Old tires, old wet tires on Vanbrugh's car, newer wet tires on Daly's car. It's a straight up fight, but as close as they are, you've got to make a clear, concise, and definitive move if you're Triple R.
Sure is, and for the first time in a very long time, Jesse, we've not just got a fight for first place, we've got a fight for third on our hands. Redford's now second away from Huber, and Raphael is following Redford very closely, as you can see right there.
Raphael Huell, the fastest car on the racetrack there. That's what the magenta number means.
Oh, I didn't even see that. A 1:59.995. First car at this race to get into the 59s. So well done there to Huell, but now he's got a fight to see what he can do. Martinez in the pit lane, probably to repair the damage. It's just he's at the back of the pro field now, so he's just going to repair the damage, maybe try and go for the fastest lap. He's only got a few laps to do so to get his tyres warmed up, but we just have to wait and see. It is damp track, so it should warm up pretty quickly. As the fight for first is so close. Jeez, you couldn't even fit a piece of cheese in there.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's Stilton or cheddar. You're not going to be able to shove it in there, and that was a bad exit off of the turn for Vanbrugh. Vanbrugh's going to slot just in front of him. Daly's going to go to the outside. Doesn't have the pace to overlap. They're still nose to tail, and they will be through the chicane. A little bit wide there, a little bit of contact there. Daly to Vanbrugh. Vanbrugh backed up the corner. Daly pushed him through, and he's going to push him here in the Coca-Cola curve. Daly lets off. Vanbrugh gathers it back up, and it's raced back on. The pace of Vanbrugh slowly eroding here. Daly very clearly has more grip at this stage, and he's trying to do this cleanly, but he's unable to do so because everywhere he goes, Vanbrugh's backing him up in the corner. Will Vanbrugh go wide here? Yes, he will. Daly gets slightly beside him, but he's on the outside of the Mercedes-Benz arena. It goes back to single file for the second part of the corner. Vanbrugh holds the defensive line down to the inside. Daly goes wide, trying to edge off the corner and V it off, and he does. Will he go wide here? No, he will not. He's going to cut back up the inside. Nothing doing there. Still single file. Runs very wide, potentially a track cut. And it's over for now. The biggest gap we've seen in a few laps between them here with 3.5 minutes to go. Meanwhile, Raphael Huell has made the pass on Hubert Pastuca, and as far as we know, somewhat cleanly.
Yeah, Redford is now 6 seconds behind Huell. He's had a crash, spin, or something. Oh no! That's what I just picked up on as you were finishing your amazing commentary there, Jesse. Redford has now dropped out of a third place run-in. He's sitting in fifth with a 4-second gap to Flamger. Flamger's actually dropped off pretty hard. Raphael is now in third place with fastest lap, but I'm not sure what happened to Redford. I'm hoping we have a replay, but with the tool we use, Cormac's probably got a load of replays that are lined up from the little taps from Daly and Vanbrugh.
I would imagine if that's not showing up for us, we have a tool, by the way, that shows contacts, and if it doesn't show up, we're forced to believe it was a single car error, the same way we've seen Justin Madley drive off the track a few times. It's so easy in this weather to get overconfident, dip a tire off, and all of a sudden you're spun around. This is going to be very close here. Vanbrugh gets sideways. Daly gets sideways as well, trying to go up the inside. He can't do it, so he tries to go the long way around the track. Can't do that either. Not enough room in the inside either. Vanbrugh covers him off, and look at him snake down the front straight just a little bit. Vanbrugh all the way to pit wall now.
It's gonna be a close fight as Daly gets later on the brakes. Can he get the switch? Oh, he's so close. Look at this racing. Oh, there's such a nice thing to see. Yeah, I am butt clenching like crazy. Another tap, I think, there on the rear end on Vanbrugh from front end of Daly. It is just trading paint today.
We are inches, millimeters away from disaster with this battle. Lights flashing on the Just Gamers Triple R 197. Vanbrugh leading this race, doing everything he can do to try and win it. He's sat on pole position. He's led the majority of the way, and he has fended off all comers, and he's had to on a couple of occasions from both Huell and Daly in this race, and he's done it thus far. 1 minute left. There might be one more lap in it, folks. It's going to be close when they come back to the line. If this is the last lap or not, it's too close for me to tell you, but it's close.
This is last lap.
You think this is last lap with a minute to go? My goodness.
Found out what happened with Redford.
Maybe one more shot as Daly.
Redford coming out the chicane, end of the lap, got on the exit curb, wet, put throttle down, and he span out to the right towards pit lane, and that's how he lost his places and got that so far back. So that is very unfortunate. He's caught up to the number 4 by 4.5 seconds now, but it's not.
This isn't the last lap, by the way. I don't think. Am I crazy? I think there might be one more here.
You might be right then, Jesse. It might be another lap to go. Just have to wait and see. Coming into the final corner now.
Oh man, look at the hands of Jordan Daly.
Oh.
Wide here is Vanbrugh after backing up the corner. We're coming to get one lap to go.
It is one
They're
more
going to
lap.
cross the stripe right there. This is the last lap of the race. It's all or nothing. How important is this to Daly? Reminder that Flamger's down in 6. Daly will almost certainly inherit the championship lead or be as close as he's been thus far in the season to getting the championship lead. So how important is winning this race? Is it worth it to risk it for the biscuit here? I think the answer is all over Daly's driving. I think the answer is yes. Hound him until he breaks. Vanbrugh hasn't. He's taken a couple of shunts. He's kept the car going straight, but it's been so very close. He's going to have maybe one more shot, maybe 2 more if he does one quickly here.
He's just got to be so careful that he does not go into the rear end of that 87, because that will ruin the whole race completely. But we just have to wait and see, let them do the driving and we'll do the talking. Silver class has not really changed too much. Bar in first, Kaneko in second, and Gina in third for the silver class at the moment in time. They all split by quite a massive gap between each other, so not really much going on in the silver class. That's why we're focusing on these two. We're not trying to get rid of the silver class by any means necessary. They are amazing drivers in their own right. But they are just having more of a chill race compared to the pro category today.
Julian Vanbrugh just has a few more corners to dispatch of if he wants to win this race. He's been pretty good at defensively driving his way through this one, despite very clearly not having the quickest car. You don't always need the quickest car. You just need a smart driver. Julian is fitting that role quite perfectly for Team Spin. Here it is, the final couple of turns, and I don't think Daly is going to be quite close enough. There he is here. He's right on the back of him. All Vanbrugh has to do is not mess up the final turn. Daly takes one last look up the inside to get as close as possible in the braking zone, but it's not quite enough. Your winner here of round number 3 of season 16 is Julian Vanbrugh.
Very well done. Jordan Daly in second. Ralph Huell coming across the line with fastest lap and third place. There comes Tom Roberts in the Aston Martin down in 5th in silver. Huber coming in 4th in the 944. Redford will be soon across the line, sideways and backwards.
Oh, he's across the line,
5th.
all right.
Asprey in 6th. Merriman Frada coming across in 7th. Flanagan in 8th, very disappointing 8th. Dolber in 9th. with the unlucky roadblock. And there's George Barr in first for the silver class. Very well done indeed. As you can see, the 31 or Hobson come across the line in 10th place in Pro, 11th overall. Kaneko comes home in 2nd place, the Japanese driver doing a very nice race and very quiet one today as well. There's Justin Madley, the 69, nice, of Ash Bibby will come across the line down in 19th. Here comes Justin Madley, the next car across the line, followed by the Mercedes of Reinhard, who started in the pit lane. That's 13th and 14th. Adna Pesina will come across in 3rd place for the silver category, the 903 M4, doing a very nice job indeed. And there comes Jordan Bubbins down in 20th, but not last, Jesse. There was 24 cars today, so that's 4 places above everyone that has.
I'm unsure if he finished 20th or 21st, but he definitely didn't finish last place.
Unless it was 21st.
An interesting race on all accounts by a lot of drivers. Jordan Bubbins' first race, his inaugural sim race in a competitive setting, and he comes home in about 21st place, so up several spots from where he would have started, and everybody almost breathing a sigh of relief. Tim Ireland for the Night Owl gang, the 141, will cross the line and complete the race here tonight. What a spirited affair, won by Julian Vanbrugh, who had to defend for an entire race. It felt like he never had quite the quickest car. He had enough pace, and he had the intelligence of where to defend, when to let them get beside you, and when they could run away. The pit strategy worked out for them in the end. Jordan Daly P2, I think, with Flamger finishing 8th, if I can believe the final timing here, might take the championship lead. Oh, he will. Absolutely. Jordan Daly will take the championship lead here today. And Raphael Huell in 3rd place as well. Such a great race. What has happened in the silver category? George Barr continues to dominate. That's what's happened in the silver category. Masatoshi Kaneko is going to jump up a bunch of spots as well in that category. Man, some might say the racing was a little bit of a joke, a little bit argy-bargy, but it definitely was no joke here tonight because, man, sometimes rubbing's racing, and sometimes you got to rub some fenders, especially here. You see it more than anywhere else. What is your take on tonight's action, Ted?
It's been something tonight. We haven't seen racing like that for a long time. But we normally just see the one, 2 or 3 cars that are very close, fighting for the lead that normally have the fight. But we've seen it all over. Silvers on pros on silvers. We've seen the pros fighting lower down, and then obviously we've had some crashes, which then force other people to fight. We've had 1st and 2nd fighting all night long, basically. After that pit stop, Jordan and Vanbrugh were just fighting and fighting. It was nice to see a few bumps and scrapes, but no, I don't think anything too serious. No one really lost. Got much damage. It was just sort of it's in the wet, people fighting. It's going to get a little bit weird under braking. The cars are different, but it was very good to watch, and I bet the racing was very, very hard to do. I bet Jordan Daly and Vanbrugh are sweating now, but yeah, very good race was tonight. We do still have some partners to give a shout out. Go Setups. They have some lovely setups that you can use for ACC. They have full esports setups and some safe setups to go along with it. Also some wet setups, so some drivers tonight might be using them in this race. They also have a good subscription plan. You can subscribe and you get 30 downloads a month on any car from GT3 to GT4. They've got a full GT4 list now as well, so if you want to do Ginetta on Monday, there you go. You can get some setups for that, or even the GT4 class races on Wednesday. If you sign up, you can download some of them and join us there as well. So that's Go Setups. You can find them in the description below. We've got Fanatec.com. They're a global leader in high-end sim racing hardware, from low-tail pedals to direct drive bases. And you can use our affiliate link in the description below. If you do, then we thank you very much, Lee. And digitalmotorsport.com, where you can find Fanatec products on their website as well. But you can find anything from a new rim to a whole new rig, beginner to expert. There's anything for everyone. They have a sim rig builder as well, so you can see what they look like before you buy it, and so you're not buying blind. And you can find them in the description as well.
Well, I believe we're joined by race winner Julian Vanbrugh. Julian, do you got us?
Yes. Hello.
Well, where in the world do we begin? Vindicated from Nurburgring. It didn't quite go the way you wanted it there, but vindication, I think, is the word to describe what happened today. You were challenged almost every single lap in this race. How on earth, Julian, did you come away the winner of this one?
Yeah, I didn't really have the pace really in the race, at least. Just had enough to take pole, but the race pace wasn't there, so I was just basically driving on my mirrors for 60 minutes. But managed to just defend the inside. I mean, I made quite a few mistakes, to be fair, like braking too late, too deep, and but just somehow managed to hold on.
It was absolutely impressive to watch. Every time somebody would come, it didn't matter who it was, Raphael Kuhl, Daly, the lot of them, they'd come up behind you, they'd get to you and just weren't able to complete the pass. Sometimes they got side by side. You always put your car in the right spot in that race. I mean, was it always calculated, or was it sometimes reactionary? How did you do that?
Probably just experience, I guess. Been racing for quite a few years, so I kind of know where to place my car. So I say that's probably one of my strengths in my racing is my defense. So I was able to just hold the apex. A lot of the time I was trying to block Daly from doing the switchback, so I just not delay my application of the throttle on the apex so that he couldn't get a chance to get a cutback. That helped a lot at the end, especially because I think he hit me a few times. He wasn't expecting it, but because otherwise, if he got the inside on the switchback, I'd have had no chance. So
what did you
yeah,
think Sorry, good.
Go on.
I was going to ask you, what did you think? It was a physical race. We saw that throughout. There was contact all up and down the grid out there today. You were no different to the receiving end of a couple of those as well. Got sandwiched at one point, we saw as well. I mean, what are your thoughts on it? Was it a product of the race conditions out there, or is it just that kind of racetrack?
Yeah, there's one where a back marker came back on and he rejoined in the middle of the track. I didn't know where to go, left or right, and then he stopped, and I hit him up the rear end. I got a couple seconds of damage from that, and then Daly tried a few times, I think, to switch back and just tap my rear. But fair play, he slowed down, backed off, didn't actually try and pass me after he did that, so got a few seconds of damage from that. But apart from that, it was all pretty clean.
Well, what a miraculous, well, I wouldn't say miraculous, but it's just actually absolutely impressive. Everybody goes out there and they want to be a car that's a second quicker than anybody else. They live that fantasy, but you did it the hard way, and you qualified on pole. How valuable do you think the pole position was for you today? Do you think if you weren't pole that you could have climbed up there and taken it from them?
I doubt it. I think if they passed me, they'd have run away. They were a lot quicker. Both the Porsche and Daly were probably a good up to half second lap quicker than me. So I think if they got past me, they'd have won.
My final question, Julian, is on the scale of wins that you've had in your career, is this one that will remain memorable for some time based on how you were able to win it, you were able to control the race, and you had the right strategy? I mean, everything just clicked. Does this one live long in the memory?
Yeah, I'd say so. That's probably my first win in a couple of years, to be fair. I haven't been on the game so much, so it's nice to get back to the top. And yeah, that's GG to everyone else. It was a good fun race.
Anybody you wish to thank, maybe partners, spouses, teams, any of that?
Well, I'd like to thank Tyler Hobson, who was in the race, good mate, who had his best finish in a while. He came 10th or 11th. And then Lewis Zelch, who is on the comms, watching the commentary, giving me a little bit of feedback. So yeah, thank you to them too.
Well, thank you very much for being with us. What an exhilarating win. We were out of breath up here. It was so fun to watch. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. Julian Vanbrugh, your winner of round number 3 here in Night Owl.
Cheers.
Ted, what an exciting race. I love that interview. And I love the I love the truth in that. I'm like, well, if I wouldn't have started on pole, I obviously maybe wouldn't have been able to keep them at bay. But that Julian is just a smart driver, doing everything right, and that is so hard to do. That is fundamental racing right there. You just saw out of Vanbrugh for all 60 plus minutes of that race. That's remarkable to see.
Yeah, sure was, and it was a good race between Daly and Vanbrugh. It just goes to show what driving a lot of racing, either if it's ACC, iRacing, or whatever, you just learn how other people would drive, and you also learn when you're in the race. You're like, okay, that's how that person's taking lines. That's how they're driving their car. Obviously, all cars are different, and you just get used to it. And obviously, Daly was trying to get past Vanbrugh, and obviously braking is a little bit different between the two cars. Obviously, we saw there's a few bumps, but it wasn't nothing serious. And Daly was reading Vanbrugh. Vanbrugh was trying to read Daly and where to defend and stuff. And it was a very good fight, and it just shows you how sportsmanlike those two are. And every time Daly accidentally tapped the rear end of Vanbrugh, he sort of backed off a little bit. It was like, oh, hang on a minute, like shouldn't pass straight away because I'm just cheating them away from a good fight. So it was very good racing indeed.
Oh, without a doubt. What a show that a lot of our drivers put on today. Credit Raphael Huell as well. Also shared in a part of that here today. And unfortunately, with the pit stop cycle and all the dramas that went on in the second half of that race, fell out of it just ever so slightly for the win here today. But the same thing for Raphael Huell as well. Just a very entertaining race, to say the least. Well, thank you all for watching. For those of you still with us, if you're still here, thank you very much for watching tonight's broadcast. We invite you to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more racing action. And if you're over on Twitch, of course, hit the follow button on your way out. Next broadcast here on the channel on Monday, of course, the continuation of the Genetic Cup. Will we be back for a Mystery Wednesday stream? Well, time will only tell. You have to check the RCI Twitch and YouTube channels on the day to figure that out. Ted and I will be back with you with Cormac on Saturday for round number 4 of Night Owl. And round number 4, we're going back to Italy, Ted.
Yeah, sure. I bet Misano is going to be a bit of fun. You just have to wait and see. I don't even know what the weather is going to be like. I'm going to put the practice server up in a bit, but I need to have a little bit of research, see what happened 3 years ago, and see what the weather was like. So it's gonna be interesting to see for me as well as you guys.
Of course, if you are not an ACC driver, we've got more than ACC here. The newest WRC rally is out. For more information on how to join the club and get involved with that, just join the Discord and visit the WRC section. Of course, iRacing as well. A couple of new signups. The Donington F3 race. I believe that race happens on December the 14th. It's Donington, it's F3. What more could you ask for? Potentially, maybe some prototype challenge racing at Sebring, if that's your thing, on December 7th. So time to sign up for that, get some practice in. More information on the website and on the Discord.
Yeah, come and join us for some iRacing. I'm going to be there. Tom Bryant's going to be there. It's gonna be fun. LMP2s, LMP3s on the 7th. Come and join us. It's always fun to do, and we're definitely gonna do some more racing, and maybe some enduro events or little enduro events. So come and go over to racerci.com and you can see our Discord there. And Discord is in the description below. But apart from that, I think we have some stand-ins from tonight's race lined up for us, so you can see what's happening. Here's the pro category. Jordan Daly with 104 points over Timothy Flamger, who's on 99, followed by Ralph Huell with 68. Redford and Conway, hello, a joint on 60 points each. Obviously Conway wasn't here tonight, so he will be back for next week's race, I believe, unless he has other plans, but that's going to be interesting to see the least. Vanbrugh, who's joined us, he hasn't joined us. He's been here since round 2, but he's got 58 points now. Madley with 43. Phil Roberts with 39. Joe Dole with 32. Joint with Alan Asp as well with 32 points there. On to the second page, we've got we got 3 drivers with 30 points each. Hobson, Emo Play, Robin Fraller joint there, 11th, 12th, and 13th. And 2 more drivers joint on points, Jesse Lee, Huber and Grim Lilith with 26 points. And then you got Matthew Malcolm with 23, and 2 more who've got 17 points. Mark Reinhardt and Paulo Martinio is 17 points. And everyone else has signed out the championship who have the dashes next to their name.
So you're telling me this race didn't settle anything in the championships?
It's made things more interesting, Jesse. Well, here is the silver standings. George Barr with 123 points, taking a 40-point lead over Adnan Piscina, who's in second, with 83 points. Tim Island in third with 72, followed by Masatoshi Kaneko with 68. Lee Kettle with 65, closely followed by Tom Roberts with 63. And then Ash Bibby with 34, Richard Hutchins with 26, Sal Mustak with 18, and Jordan Bummins with 0 points, but has completed his first race of the season. Everyone else has signed out of the silver. No, yeah, very interesting, Jesse. I gotta say, for a lot of people in chat, can't wait for next week's race.
I can't either. Today was brutal for some. It was fast action. It was a lovely race. It's everything we expect to see out of an RCI race and a broadcast. Lovely setup and lovely executed by the drivers for the most part as well. Close racing, that's all you could ever ask for. In a race that comes down to potential last lap overtakes, what more could you really ask for? All the podium spots were endowed in the final 10 minutes. Sounds like a good race to me.
Sure does, but I think that's everything covered off our list, Jesse, and just one last thing to do, and that is to say thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and also follow us on Twitch. And we will see you next weekend for Night Owl, and we will see you on Monday for the Ginetta Championship. Until then, have a good weekend.